Tensions are rising in Turkey as Istanbul's mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, a leading political rival to President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, has been transferred to court today after 5 hours of police questioning and 3 days detention. Massive security forces have surrounded the courthouse amid widespread public outrage and street protests. Yesterday, Mayor İmamoğlu firmly denied corruption allegations during questioning related to a separate investigation. Authorities have detained at least 343 protesters who took to the streets demanding his release and expressing support for democratic rights. The political drama began earlier, long before İmamoğlu's detention. Pressure had mounted on Istanbul University to investigate claims that his university diploma was acquired improperly, an allegation aimed at disqualifying him from presidential candidacy. Initially, the university officially declared there were no irregularities. However, after facing renewed political pressure, the rector resigned. One day before İmamoğlu's detention, the new rector, known to be closely associated with President Erdoğan, suddenly annulled not only İmamoğlu's diploma, but also those of 28 other individuals who had graduated under the same procedures. Among those affected is an academic at Istanbul's prestigious Galatasaray University, whose now cancelled diploma had previously enabled acceptance into a doctoral program at Sorbonne University. These politically motivated injustices, which have drawn strong criticism from academic circles, have sparked a student movement. Students are now boycotting classes at universities and increasingly joining street demonstrations. By the next day, the street protests had spread to broader segments of society, emphasizing democracy, free elections, grievances against economic injustice, and calls to defend the republic. On March 19th, when İmamoğlu, considered the strongest contender against Erdoğan in the upcoming presidential elections, was detained in a dramatic operation, captured by drones and widely broadcast on national television, more than 100 others were arrested alongside him. İmamoğlu currently faces 2 distinct criminal investigations. The first involves accusations of aiding the Kurdish terror organization, stemming from a political alliance in Turkey's 2024 local elections. His party, the secular CHP, formed an electoral pact with a prominent Kurdish party, holding 57 parliamentary seats. As part of this widely publicized electoral strategy, the Kurdish party refrained from fielding candidates in certain districts, allowing İmamoğlu's CHP to successfully challenge Erdoğan's AKP. Authorities now claim this strategy constitutes support for Kurdish militants, a charge the opposition vehemently denies. At the same time, the ruling party has taken the first steps of a new process with the Kurdish movement, by making contacts to decriminalize the Kurdish party in Turkey after the change of power and authority in Syria today. So nowadays, who is a terrorist and who is legal is being redefined in Turkey. The second investigation involves allegations of corruption, heavily reliant on testimony from anonymous witnesses rather than publicly presented evidence. Critics argue these charges are politically motivated, intended to neutralize İmamoğlu ahead of critical elections. The freedom to peacefully protest, protected by Turkey's constitution, has faced severe restrictions under Erdoğan's government, becoming increasingly harsh and nearly completely prohibited since the Gezi Park protests. Yet this alarming trend has not deterred large segments of the public from taking to the streets. Intense demonstrations that began at universities and Istanbul's municipal headquarters now appear to be spreading nationwide, reaching both major cities and smaller towns, with police at times responding forcefully and aggressively. It is anticipated that these interventions may become even harsher as protests continue.